Volvo C30, Part 4 of the AC compressor and system replacement. Part 4 of the Volvo C30 air compressor replacement with emphasis on the Orifice Tube. First and foremost, before the planned day of starting the job, have your refrigerant evacuated from the car. Can't emphasize that enough. If you're going to do the job, be responsible. Now, in my situation, because the car is new to us, I had to locate all the components that are being replaced. The Orifice tube is located near the firewall on the back side of the engine. So it's located down in this area, and I will get a closer view of exactly where it's located. Unfortunately, I have misplaced my video footage for the removal and installation of my Orifice tube. So therefore, I'm not going to redo it, but I'm going to show you the location and what you need to consider in order to replace your Orifice tube. This duct does not necessarily need to be removed. I removed it just because of my arms and trying to get in there to take out that tube. But if you decide to remove this duct, you've got two clamps, one here, one over there. Use a 7mm socket to loosen it. You have a, where's it at? You've got an electrical disconnect back here. Well, it's more like a sensor, not an electrical disconnect. But just push that in, pull that out. That'll come off fairly easy. And then you've got two 10mm bolts. You've got one here, one right there, and then it has a bracket on the side of this duct that attaches it to the top of the engine. And then over here, right down here, below the duct and down a little bit, you've got another 10mm bolt. There's a bracket that comes off the duct, and it bolts it to the side of the engine. So you can get in there. It's a little bit tight, but it really wasn't that bad. The only thing is you probably definitely want to have a magnetic telescoping tool, because I dropped it a couple times. I had to find it. It took me longer to find that bolt than it did to replace the Orifice tube, but to fish it out. But so you may or may not want to remove this duct. I did. All right, this is a low pressure line of the AC system. The Orifice tube is in the line directly below it, down here where my finger is. In order to remove that, over here in the firewall between the two lines, you've got a 10mm bolt. So get a 10mm socket, remove that, and then down here, let me try to get a closer picture. You're going to have to. This nut on this side is a 23mm. And this one's welded onto the line, but that's a 19mm. So what I had to do is and this is very tight in here. So I was able to get a 19mm wrench on this, but because there's no room to rotate the wrench, the 19mm serves as just a holder to hold this line in place while you turn the 23mm. On the 23mm, I got a crow's foot, and the crow's foot allowed me access to loosen and tighten that bolt. Again, because you can't get a wrench in there, and a typical 23mm wrench is pretty doggone long. I couldn't get an adjustable wrench in there. I ended up having to use a 23mm crow's foot to both loosen and tighten. Once you loosen that, and with this bolt over here, 10mm bolt out of place, this line can technically be removed. There's some more you've got to do if you want to remove it entirely. I don't think I removed it entirely. I was able, with both sides loosened up, I was able to twist it and rotate it upward, and then I could see inside that tube, and I could pull the old Orifice tube out and insert the new Orifice tube. The Orifice tube is inserted white in first. When you look at the new tube, you'll see that it's kind of yellow and white. You push the white in first and then just kind of push it in. and tighten everything back. Again, on this end and on this end's very tight to get to. If you're going to loosen that up and replace anything, or mess with it, you want to replace the O-rings. So there'll be 2 O-rings here, one for each line, and then an O-ring down there on that line. So that's 3 O-rings, and then tighten everything back up, and you're good to go. The very last thing I did was both on the low pressure side, which is there, as well as the high pressure side, which is under this cover now. I replaced, that's just a bumper, but the high pressure is under this cover. I replaced both the Schrader valves. I took out the old ones, I put in new ones, and good to go. One note on the Schrader valves: if you have multiple Volvos, they all use the same Schrader valve. They're Schrader valves generic for doesn't matter what the model is. All right, my job is near complete. I have replaced the compressor in part 1, the dryer in part 2, the condenser in part 3, and now the orifice in part 4. I'm not going to show charging the system because there's a lot of videos out there that do a proper job in showing you how to charge it. So, all I can say is thanks for watching Lone Star Mini. I hope this helps somebody out there with a Volvo C70 or C30, because there's not much coverage on these cars. So other than that, all the best on your Volvo DIY maintenance.